I'll admit, I thought the Bulls were going to get beat down in this game. What sucks is that you look at the final score and you say, what do you mean? They did get beat down in this one. They lost by 22 points. But in reality, the Bulls actually kept this game competitive all the way down to the final 6 minutes or so. And going up against the best team in the league, the Bulls without Giddey, Lonzo, Vooch, Herter, obviously Patrick Williams, and now Adesumu, completely depleted, I fully expected this to be a game where the Bulls lose in the first quarter, and it's not even worth watching in the second half. But there were points throughout this game, even in the second half, where you thought the Bulls might actually win this thing, which I'm sure the tanking crowd would have lost their mind had that happened. And what's crazy to me is the Bulls actually tied this game up at 107. It was tied at 107 with 7 minutes left to go. The Cavs called a timeout and then went on an 11-0 run, which blew up even further after that, and they never looked back from there. Crazy to think that you go from a tie game with 7 minutes left to then losing it by 22. That's the Bulls for you. Although I say that, but come on, this is the Cavs. The Bulls are shorthanded as well. No one really thought the Bulls were going to actually win this game. Elite tanking there at the end is how you can spin it. I mean, look, the Bulls did not shoot the ball well in this one. They especially were cold from deep, going 11 for 44 from 3. They were hot in the first quarter and leading into the second, which is what gave them that pretty extensive lead to start the game before the Cavs whittled it down to 1 point by halftime. They committed far too many fouls to give the Cavs some really easy points, and of course, they just folded at the end of the game. But despite all of those missteps, the negatives, I like the Bulls' compete level. I like the fact that they hustled and they played with effort, especially on defense. They were much more focused and locked in on that end of the floor. The Bulls took care of the ball very well against one of the better defensive teams in the league. They only had 7 turnovers in this game. Despite not having Vooch or Giddey in the lineup, they cleaned the glass well, had 50 rebounds in total. Jalen Smith and Zach Collins took care of the boards. And then even without their main facilitator, their leader in assists, they still moved the ball well. They kept up the pace and still managed to tally 32 assists as a team. Man, Zach Collins, I half joked about this during the game, but like, should the Bulls just look at keeping Collins at this point? Man, it's becoming a walking double-double for this team. Not that these games really mean much of anything, but still, he's going up against starters and not only holding his own, but actually playing very well. Another 20 points and 12 rebounds for Collins to go along with 3 steals and a block. Yeah, minus 22 in blocks plus minus, but then again, anyone who was in for those final 7 minutes is going to have a horrendous box plus minus. Trey Jones nearly had a triple-double in this one. In his first start with the Bulls, 9 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. I've said this before, but I actually really like Jones. I feel like he's a very underrated backup guard in this league who's a very smart player, and he plays hard. And then Modest Bucelis, I'm not worried as much about the inefficiency because you expect that from a rookie. At least he isn't afraid to take a shot, Patrick Williams. But to me, it's more so how he creates his offense because he can play with the ball in his hands. He can move well in transition and is always a threat for a lob. And some of those moves that he has to beat his man off the dribble and finish with the scoop. I mean, you guys have been hearing me say it all year, but I can't wait to see how this kid continues to develop and grows because he has a lot of potential and the tools to be a great player in this league. Modest tonight goes for 17 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block. The guys off the bench, I guess you go to Taylor Horton-Tucker. It's funny because you look at his box score and you think the guy had an incredible game. And don't get me wrong, he had some nice plays, some great finishes. He was a good spark of offense for the Bulls coming off the bench to keep them in this game. 22 points on 9 for 18 shooting, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. But if you watch the game and you see some of the shot selection, the decision making, the bad turnovers, and you're like, come on now, man, what are we doing here? I get it. Billy Donovan had to play him because who else are you going to go to at this point when you look at who's available on the roster? But yeah, I can do without the THT ball hog antics right now and prefer to see my guy Modest get those touches. Like I mentioned, Jalen Smith was solid in this game, 13 points, 11 rebounds in just 18 minutes. So anyway, yes, there were some good things to see from this game despite the loss and the collapse at the end. But hey, at the end of the day, it's a loss that helps the tank. Not that I think that is really going to matter much considering the Bulls are pretty locked into the 10th seed at this point when they're already 2.5 games ahead of both the Sixers and the Nets. What's interesting is the Bulls actually play the Orlando Magic in their next game on Thursday, and there is a real possibility the Bulls could see the Magic in that 9-10 play-in matchup at this point, which will be fun considering all the beef Magic fans have with myself. Anyway, guys, check out my NBA channel, by the way, and One Hoops if you're getting tired of me talking about the Bulls. Link to that can be found in the description. Let me know what you guys thought of the game. As always, be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.